I have seen absolutely no evidence that President Putin has any interest in a negotiated peace short of Ukrainian capitulation. He is stringing us along, and Putin's army is still far short of its original invasion objectives. Bluntly, Putin has bitten off more than he can chew.
UK spy chief Richard Moore issued a stark warning on September 19th, saying there is absolutely no evidence that Russian President Vladimir Putin is willing to negotiate peace in Ukraine. Moore accused Putin of deceiving the world with hollow promises of dialogue, calling out the Russian leader for making claims that do not reflect any real intention to end the conflict. In a parting speech at the British consulate in Istanbul, Moore said Putin was stringing us along while seeking to impose his imperial will by all means at his disposal. Bluntly, Putin has bitten off more than he can chew. He thought he was going to win an easy victory, but he and many others underestimated the Ukrainians, Moore said.
I applaud the efforts of President Trump to resolve the conflict, President Zelensky for his willingness to make very difficult compromises, and European leaders working to achieve a just and lasting peace. However, I have seen absolutely no evidence that President Putin has any interest in a negotiated peace short of Ukrainian capitulation. He is stringing us along. Putin denies Ukraine's sovereignty and its very existence as a country and a nation. He seeks to impose his imperial will by all means at his disposal, but he cannot succeed. Russia simply does not have the wherewithal to fully subjugate Ukraine by force. Yes, they are grinding forward on the battlefield, but at a snail's pace and horrendous cost. And Putin's army is still far short of its original invasion objectives. Bluntly, Putin has bitten off more than he can chew. In recent weeks, Russia has stepped up its attacks on civilian targets still further. And there can be no equivalence between the suffering of the aggressor and the victim, but it's absolutely clear that Putin's lack of concern for human life extends also to his own people. Russia has incurred more than 1 million casualties, a quarter of them killed, as poorly trained troops from Russia's poorest regions are fed into the meat grinder. To those men and women in Russia who have truths to share and the courage to share them, I invite you to contact MI6. You will be working to bring peace to our continent, to protect the long-term interests and redeem the honor of your country. You will be working with a world-class organization, and we will do everything in our power to keep you safe. Your needs and aspirations will be paramount. We can help you to make a difference.
MI6 Chief Richard Moore stressed that a nuclear-free Iran must remain a global priority. He urged the Iranian government to recognize that a prosperous and secure future comes through engagement and compromise, rather than pursuing strategies that destabilize the region and isolate Iran from much of the world. The MI6 chief also emphasized that peace in Gaza is essential for any reset to take hold and to prevent the continued suffering of innocent Palestinians witnessed around the world.
A nuclear-free Iran must remain a priority, and I hope the Iranian government can see that a prosperous and secure future lies in engagement and compromise, not blindly pursuing a strategy that destabilizes their neighborhood and puts them at odds with much of the rest of the world. Their proxies, while bringing misery, violence, and death to the region, have gained Iran nothing, and we must hope their humbling by Israel may bring an opportunity for a reset. That requires a change of mentality in Tehran, not yet detected in intelligence. And Gaza needs peace too for such a reset to take hold in the region and to prevent the further appalling suffering of innocent Palestinians that we see so persistently on our TV screens. After almost 4 decades in public service, I'm now hanging up my cloak returning my imaginary dagger to its scabbard, and handing over my famous green pen. Running MI6 has been the privilege of my life. There is no organization like it in the world. Our people, our partners, our mission, the integrity with which we do our work is second to none.
U.S. President Donald Trump said that Russian President Vladimir Putin has really let him down as the war in Ukraine drags on. He voiced frustration over stalled peace talks and repeated his claim that he resolved 7 wars during his presidency.
The one that I thought would be easiest would be because of my relationship with President Putin, but he's let me down. He's really let me down. I mean, he's killing many people, and he's losing more people than he's killing. I mean, frankly, the Russian soldiers are being killed at a higher rate than the Ukrainian soldiers. It doesn't affect the United States. We have, other than unless you end up in a world war over this thing, you could. This was a thing that would have never happened had I been president. If I were president, it would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. Most people agree it didn't happen. I'm very honored to tell you that we've solved 7 wars, wars that were unsolvable, wars that couldn't be negotiated or done. The U.S. has done 7 of them. The one that I thought would be easiest would be because of my relationship with President Putin, but he's let me down. He's really let me down. It was going to be Russia and Ukraine, but we'll see how that turns out. But that turned out to be, I thought it might be among the easiest of the group. But we had settled just about every conflict, and as you know, we're working very hard on Israel and Gaza. All that's happening over there. Complex, but it's going to get done. It'll all get done right. And likewise, Russia and Ukraine will get done. But you never know in war. War is a different thing. Things happen that are very opposite of what you thought. You thought you were going to have an easy time or a hard time, and it turns out to be the reverse.
Mr. President, you say that President Putin has let you down. Have negotiations run out of road, and what are your next steps to compel an end to this war?
Well, he has let me down. I mean, he's killing many people, and he's losing more people than he's killing. I mean, frankly, the Russian soldiers are being killed at a higher rate than the Ukrainian soldiers. But, yeah, he said, let me down. I don't like to see. It's death. It doesn't affect the United States. We have, other than unless you end up in a world war over this thing, you could. This was a thing that would have never happened had I been president. If I were president, it would have never happened. And it didn't happen for 4 years. Most people agree it didn't happen, nor was it close to happening. And I spoke to President Putin about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. I've said that many times. It was. But he would have never done what he did, except that he didn't respect the leadership of the United States. They just went through the Afghanistan total disaster for no reason whatsoever. We're going to leave Afghanistan, but we're going to leave it with strength and dignity. And we're going to keep Bagram, the big air base, one of the biggest air bases in the world. We gave it to them for nothing. We're trying to get it back, by the way. Okay, that could be a little breaking news. We're trying to get it back because they need things from us. We want that base back. But one of the reasons we want the base is, as you know, it's an hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. So a lot of things are happening, but I am very disappointed in the fact that that one's not settled. To think that we settled Azerbaijan and Albania as an example, it was going on for years. It was never going to be settled. If you remember, the prime minister and the presidents, they were there for many years. They said, when they were in my office, we settled. And they started off at both sides of the Oval Office, so far away. I didn't know you could be so far away. And as we were together for an hour, they kept getting closer, closer. And by the time we finished, we all hugged each other. And one said, I've been in this position for 22 years, and all I've done is kill their people. The other was there for 7 years, and all he did was kill their people. And we got it settled. And we did others, as you know. The Congo, we settled the Congo with Rwanda. that was going on, and that was a machete war. That was a gruesome war. Many people, close to 10 million people killed. We got that. So my biggest disappointment, but it's, you know, look, we did 7, and most of them were not thought to be settleable. We did India and we did Pakistan. That's 2 nuclear. That was purely for trade. You want to trade with us, you're going to have to get along. And they were going at it hot and heavy. But the Russia situation, I hope we're going to have some good news for you coming up. But again, it doesn't affect the United States. And look, it doesn't so much affect you. Of course, you are a lot closer to the scene than we are. We have a whole ocean separating us. But I will say this, it's millions of people have died in that war, millions of souls. And they're not American. The soldiers, mostly soldiers, as you know. The soldiers are being killed at levels that nobody's seen since the Second World War. But they're being killed, and I feel I have an obligation to get it settled for that reason.